Hello there, welcome to CoreTV News at 4. I'm Gift Ogete. Professor Tahiru Jega has formally bowed out as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission after completing his tenure. Tahiru Jega handed over the leadership of the commission to Muhammad Wali, a national commissioner of the electoral body from the Northwest. While his 5-year tenure lasted, Jega conducted 2 general elections in 2011 and 2015, and the elections were judged to be better than some of the previous ones. Last week, Jega, a former vice-chancellor of the Bayero University, Kano, and a former president of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, also said he would be returning to the classroom after leaving INEC. The tenure of the new acting chairman will end on August 11, 2015, over as acting chairman of the commission. In what appears to be a last-minute rush for June 30 deadline of bank verification number, banks in Lagos are struggling to manage the mammoth crowd thronging them with as customers jostle to obtain their verification number. Not many of them are pleased with the development, as they blame the low awareness created by the financial sector of the economy. Although the policy by the Apex Bank was launched February 2014, June 30th, 2015 has been fixed as deadline. According to them, a majority may be denied the opportunity of being registered. They urge the central bank for an extension of the exercise for benefit of all. Meanwhile, the CBN has extended the bank verification number to November 2015 to allow for more registration. President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Central Bank, the Nigeria Customs and other revenue-generating agencies to remit all their intakes into the Consolidated Revenue Fund in line with constitutional provisions. This, he says, is to ensure adequate funds to all tiers of government from the Federation account. The President gave this directive at the formal inauguration of the National Economic Council in Abuja. Samo has more from the presidential villa.
Exactly 1 month after inauguration, President Buhari is set to get down to business. He has inaugurated his National Economic Council, comprising the 36 state governors and led by the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. The President also used the opportunity to send a clear message to government agencies that it will no longer be business as usual.
Revenue-generating agencies such as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Nigerian Customs Services, Federal Inland Revenue Services, Nigerian Ports Authority, Central Bank of Nigeria, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, and Liquefied Natural Gas, among others, shall comply with stipulated financial regulations and administrative instructions in their remittances into the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
He also used the opportunity to give an insight into the outcome of the meeting with the G7 on the security challenge in the Northeast.
On insurgency, the Nigerian Armed Forces have shown renewed commitment and made steady progress in the fight against Boko Haram. Nigeria, under the auspices of the Lake Chad Basin Commission and the Republic of Benin, is collaborating with the Republic of Niger, Chad, Cameroon, and Benin to consolidate cross-border and international efforts at eradicating the insurgency.
After the inauguration, members of the Economic Council went into a closed-door meeting. They came out with a revelation that a 4-man committee has been set up to check the NNPC books to determine how much was not remitted to the Federation account.
The 4-man committee, one of them is CIO, 2 of them, that the governor of Edo State, the governor of Akwa Ibom, the governor of Gombe State, and Malam Nasur El-Rufai. They are members of that committee who check the books of NNPC, more especially on the issue of excess crude and what is not reported to the Federation account.
8.1 trillion naira. What accrues, what NNPC paid to the Federation account between 2012 all through to 2015, end of May, was 4.3 trillion naira, and NNPC withheld and spent 3.5 trillion naira. Now, the major revelation here for me is that the entire federation, that is the federal government and all the state government and all the 774 local government, the amount the NNPC paid to the federation account for distribution to these 3 tiers of government came to 4.3. And NNPC alone took and spent 3.5 trillion naira. Now, which means NNPC, the cost of running NNPC is even much more than the cost of running the federal government.
Aside from NNPC, a number of government agencies are not known to remit all of their revenues to the consolidation accounts. But with the cash crunch and the inability of many of the states to meet their obligation, the Economic Council is keen on paying more attention to remittances from revenue-generating federal government agencies. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Okay. Give way, please.
Now to the power sector, where President Muhammadu Buhari has promised that his administration will give the highest possible priority to the rapid improvement of power supply across the country. According to a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president spoke while granting audience to officials of CGGC, Chinese construction company working on the Mambila power project. Additionally quoted the president as saying that it was regrettable that power generation in Nigeria had failed to keep pace with national needs over the years. To salvage the situation, the president said his administration would ensure that the Mambila project and other unfinished hydropower projects in the country are completed as fast as possible to boost power supply in the country. Managing Director of CGGC, Zhang Heng, who led his company's delegation, told the president that work on the Mambila project was being delayed by the failure of previous administrations to provide counterpart funding specified in the agreement with the Chinese government. The CGGC delegation was accompanied to the presidential villa by Governor Abdulaziz Yari of Zamfara State. President Muhammadu Buhari has restored the accreditation of Duchess Wales State House correspondent Ubale Musa, which was withdrawn in the last days of the Jonathan administration. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina presented the reissued press pass to the correspondent at the presidential villa on the orders of the president. He explained that the reporter's reaccreditation as a State House correspondent was in keeping with President Buhari's commitment to correcting the wrongs of the past. Civil rights activists have hailed the federal government's decision to dissolve the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, and they urge President Muhammadu Buhari to appoint a minister for petroleum resources as soon as possible, as well as name ministers as members of the NNPC board. The Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CHISLAC, said at a news conference in Abuja that the decision to dissolve the NNPC board was long overdue. The group claimed that the dissolved board, monumental frauds, including fuel subsidy scam, non-remittance of monies due to the Federation account, and controversial crude oil swap contracts. CHISLAC also alleged NNPC and its subsidiary, DBR, were the major brick wall in the implementation of the NAT process in Nigeria, especially on matters of remediation and implementation of recommendation of independent auditors. It consequently wants President Buhari to restructure and overhaul the NNPC, as well as the entire extraction, resources and revenue managing architecture of the nation. A civil rights group, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, wants the Buhari administration to immediately implement the cost-cutting measures proposed by a committee headed by former head of service Steve Oronsaye. According to the group, as a result of the need to reduce the cost of governance. Speaking at a one-day policy dialogue session in Abuja, the executive director of the group, Huwal Musa, argued that no nation can develop in an atmosphere.
We think that it is high time that Nigerian government reduce the cost of running, government, because we notice that some of the costs associated with running of government are either waste or duplication, or sometimes outrightly being stolen, by some, people who don't have the interests of this country. So instead of continuing to waste and duplicate and also steal these resources, it could be channeled to other economic sectors so that we could actually help to create jobs and diversify the economy.
The problem is that we need to look at the cost of governance in the context of making government and governance more effective. So we should be looking at effectiveness. We should be looking at efficiency when we're talking about the cost of governance, and then we should be. What do you really mean by the cost of governance? Is the cost of running the government and delivering services that the government needs to deliver.
On the 29th of May, when the government of President Muhammadu Buhari was inaugurated, Nigerians expected that the government will hit the ground running. But a month after, diverse opinions have continued to greet the approach of the president towards governance. While some point that the government is too slow in grappling with the reality of governance, some others say President Buhari is no doubt taking his time. Rashid, in this interview with a public analyst and a serving senator, reports that the field bounced the government of Buhari 1 month after.
On the 29th of May, Nigeria and Nigerians welcome a new dawn in the annals of Nigeria's history. It is indeed the first time the opposition party defeated the incumbent. The man Muhammadu Buhari also became president at the fourth time of asking. All this led many Nigerians to have high expectations of the new government. But 1 month after the historic inauguration, Nigerians bore their minds on the pace of governance. A public affairs analyst says the Buhari government is expected to hit the ground running, but for Fatimat Rajirasaki, a PDP senator, President Buhari and the APC are still battling with the reality of being the government in power.
People are worried. I'm equally worried too, because from his campaign promises, he indicated he's going to hit the ground running.
They've forgotten that they are now at the center. They are now the majority party, but they are still behaving as an opposition party. It hasn't gotten to their head yet.
Making reference to the crisis rocking the National Assembly, Ogumala opines that this will cause further delay for President Buhari in addressing salient national issues. Rajirasaki, however, disagrees, saying the president is not even set to present his ministerial list.
Look at the list sent from the party for the principal members of the House, the way they threw it out. So they can tear anything from ministerial into shreds too.
If you find out deep down, he is not 100% ready with his list also. Because if he's ready, he will have written to the House. But there's no letter to that effect.
And taking a general assessment, Ogumala submits that the Buhari administration has done nothing really special in the eyes of ordinary Nigerians in the past 1 month.
We have been queuing for petrol before he came. We are still queuing. You know? So, and there's nothing really that the average Nigerian can say has happened. You know, we're only hopeful. That's the Nigerian, the average, the common man only has a hope.
As Nigerians continue to hope that the government effects change in days to come, it is, however, a known fact that out of the 4-year tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari, a month is actually gone. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ado Ekiti.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has challenged the former interim chairman of the All Progressives Congress, BC Akonde, to name the oil barons he claimed sponsored his election on June 9. The former Osun State governor had alleged that oil subsidy thieves and others who were out to subvert the course of justice bankrolled the election of Bukola Saraki and Dogara. But speaking through his spokesman, Tukari Hassan, Speaker Dogara said he expected Akonde, as an elder statesman, to play a fatherly role at a period of disputes rather than attacking his person. He maintained that the allegations existed only in Akonde's imagination, adding that he won his election based on the support of his colleagues, his competence and capacity, will preside over the House as the Speaker. The Speaker also recalled that the first investigative motion passed by the House after his election was to probe the alleged crude oil swap contract awarded by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. He wondered how he would have backed the probe of the same oil sector stakeholders if indeed they sponsored his election. It's CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a break. Stay with us.
Some pundits believe that as long as the political system is driven by selected few, corruption may be difficult to fight.
You should be careful about what you say. I am not the only politician. Even if I've wronged anyone, it is time to forgive me.
Political Arena every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. and a repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m.
Welcome back. Now for more information on CoreTV News, you can reach us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/CoreTV News. On Twitter at CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV News. Senators charged with the responsibility of coming up with a draft legislative agenda for the 8th Senate are due to return in their report in the next 1 week. Senate Leader Ali Ndume disclosed this to journalists after his second meeting of the ad hoc committee at the National Assembly complex. The 18-member committee was inaugurated last week by Senate President Bukola Saraki.
The activities of this ad hoc committee that was set up last week by the Senate President to draw up a legislative agenda for the 8th Senate. This is the second meeting. We had an inaugural meeting on the same day that we were inaugurated. And as you are aware, we have just 1 week to complete this assignment, and that is why we decided to hit the ground running immediately in order to achieve this work within the stated time frame. The details of the legislative agenda will come up when we finish the job. What we try to do in this meeting is to bring out ideas that will form the core part of the legislative agenda, which we intend to present to Nigerians, so that for the first time, I think this is the first time that the Senate, ab initio, will tell Nigerians or will make public what the 8th Senate intends to do for Nigerians that are expecting this change, and especially with the new government and the situation in which this country finds itself. That is the crux of the matter, actually. We are trying to present to Nigerians in a new way what they should expect from its 8th Senate, and that will help us to determine the level, the speed, the commitment of the Senate in discharging the collective agenda that we have for the country. So far, we will be briefing you as the time goes, but maybe at the end of it, we will have a report which will avail to you, to the general public.
Former Minister of Education, Rukoya Rufai, has tasked President Muhammadu Buhari on improving what she described as the good legacies of the previous administration in the education sector. Rufai, who gave the charge on the sidelines of an event in Abuja, said no nation can compete at the global stage without providing accessible and quality education to its citizens. She noted that efforts must be channeled towards addressing challenges bedeviling in the sector.
There is a social content to policing, and I will expect that as public relations officer, maybe once a month, you should be able to reach out to the journalists in your location, invite them to the mess, discuss with them, tell them what your state or your zone is doing. It will not cost too much. I'm sure the commissioners of police should be able to handle that. And that social content of policing must be reestablished in Nigerian police force. It is not.
We do apologize for the mix-up there. Now we take on that story. Inspector General of Police Solomon Orase has warned the rank and file to be proactive in dealing with issues in their domain rather than being reactive. This, he explained, will go a long way in ensuring that police personnel are more relevant in their areas of operations. The Inspector General said this at a two-day workshop in Abuja for police public relations officers across the country. With the issue of the nation's worsening power situation, a major source of worry to most Nigerians, residents of about 7 streets in Ikosiketu have decried the negligence of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria in bringing respite to the hardship experienced in this area as a result of the total blackout for over 2 months. Omotayalo has the details.
Following the significant decline in power supply witnessed across the country in the last few weeks and the untold hardship it has brought upon Nigerians, residents of Ikosi in the Ikosi-Keto Local Council Development Area have described the case of power outages witnessed in the area as a hopeless one. They explained that the transformer providing light to about 7 streets in the area was taken away under the guise of undergoing repairs, and after 2 months, the power holding company is yet to come up with any explanation on why the transformer is yet to be returned.
On the 11th of May, we reported that case at Shomolu, Ikeja district, or their district office. So after since then, the business manager has been assuring us that in 2 weeks' time they brought the light, 3 weeks' time they brought the light. We just kept on hoping that things will be fine. At the end of the day, we now realize that they are just giving us white, we are embarking on a white elephant project. So that was now decided whether we are having this light or not. You people just have to provide us this light.
Our own, you said, they want to go and repair. Where is it? They said they can't bring it back again. So we are not going to be in darkness another 4 or 5 months. And this is about 4 months now. There is no light here.
While resident and business operators opt for the use of generators on a daily basis, they say the cost has been unbearable in addition to the huge losses on their businesses.
I always buy petrol, 1,000 every day.
Most of the things that we are selling in our shops, they are getting spoiled. Be it fish, the turkeys and the thing that they use a lot of money to purchase. Yet we could not find light to frozen them and make them be on sale for the people to buy.
I'm a hairstylist. I need the light to do my work. Also, I need the light to ice my drinks. We'll be going there. Please we're there. They told us today, tomorrow, there will be light today, will be light tomorrow. And we don't see anything. We don't see any improvement. They should help us. We can't be living on it like this.
For Olufemi Elegbeleye, who runs a private hospital in the area, the Kosi undertaking office has not lived up to its promise of making the situation easier for the residents. According to him, it's been one failed promise after the other.
All the money I'm making is going on diesel and petrol. So there's nothing for me to even to pay my workers.
While no official statement have been released by officials of the power holding company on the issue, the residents continue to clamor for the return of the transformer. Omotayalo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Students of the Olabisi Onabanjo University Agoiwoye in Ogun State on Monday blocked the Shagamu Highway to protest the death of 11 of their colleagues. The protesting students converged on the Ileshon-Remo-Shagamu junction, the scene of the accident, and blocked the road, forcing motorists both from the Benin and Lagos-Abeokuta ends of the highway to either turn back or stop at a distance. In a joint statement by the School Students' Union Body and the Nigerian Association of Nigerian Students, the protesting students demanded that security agencies should find and arrest the driver of the truck, who they claim is still at large. They also called on government to bring into effect law prohibiting articulated trucks from plying the highway during the day, while asking for families of the victims to be compensated. You may recall that 12 students of the Olabisi Onabanjo University died when a truck driver drove on the wrong lane, causing the container to fall on the bus conveying the students to Ota, Ogun State around midday on Friday. A federal high court in Lagos has further adjourned till July 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, 2015, the trial of 14 foreigners arraigned for allegedly dealing in petroleum products within the Nigerian territorial waters without lawful authority. The accused persons include citizens of Russia, Ukraine, Japan and the United Kingdom. The trial, which had been slated to continue on Monday, could not proceed. As the trial judge Ibrahim Buba said the court could not accommodate any trial for Monday. He subsequently adjourned to July 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th for continuation of trial. The 14th foreigners are being tried by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which arraigned them on 4 counts of conspiracy and illegal deal in petroleum products. Counsel for the Anti-Graft Agency, Rotimi Oyedepo, had on June 10 told the court that the accused persons were arrested along with their vessel, from which they carried out the alleged unlawful business. According to the charge filed against them, the accused persons on March 28, 2015, alleged a dealt in petroleum product estimated at 1,738,087 naira metric tons without appropriate license. They were also accused of dealing with 1,500 metric tons and 3,035 metric tons of low pure fuel oil without lawful authority. Governor Nasru El-Rufai of Kaduna State on Monday appointed the co-founder of Bring Back Our Girls cause, Hadiza Bala Usman, as his new chief of staff. A statement by his media aide, Samuel Arwan, also indicated that the governor had appointed 2 other aides to assist in the running of the new administration. Bala Usman, a development expert, had served under various committees of the All Progressives Congress at national and state levels and was an active member in the campaign to rescue the Chibok girls abducted by Boko Haram. The new chief of staff had in 2011 contested for the House of Representatives under the defunct Congress for Progressive Change in Matazu constituency, Katsina State. She had also worked with the Bureau for Public Enterprises and UNDP and as a director Good Governance Group. Other appointees were Bashir Dabo, Special Assistant, New Media, and Amina Saudu Mohammed, Personal Secretary to the Governor. It's CoreTV News at 4. We'll take another break. Please stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back now to Egypt, where Egypt's public prosecutor, Hisman Barakat, has been killed in a bomb attack on his car in Cairo. Officials say Mr. Barakat died on his wounds in hospital after the bombing in the suburb of Heliopolis. He had died after undergoing critical surgery. A medical official at the hospital said Mr. Barakat had received multiple shrapnel wounds to the shoulder, chest and liver. Mr. Barakat was the most senior figure to have been targeted for assassination since a 2013 attempt on the life of the then Interior Minister. He had referred thousands of Islamists to trial since the overthrow of President Mohamed Morsi in 2013. Hundreds of Islamists had been sentenced to death or life imprisonment as part of a crackdown on supporters of the banned Muslim Brotherhood. Monday's attack involved a car bomb or an explosive device placed under a parked car near Mr. Barakat's convoy. At least 3 civilians were killed, according to MENA. Witnesses said that the blast had been strong enough to scatter the windows of nearby homes. The Egyptian affiliate of the Islamic State militant group recently called for attacks on the judiciary after the hanging of 6 militants. A heat wave in Spain and Portugal had triggered alerts across the region. with temperatures soaring above 40 C and warnings of risk of residents' health. Warnings have been issued in more than 40 provinces and Spain, with a red alert for the southern city of Cordoba. Neighboring Portugal has also placed 4 regions on an orange alert, the second highest level possible. Both countries have warned that the searing heat will substantially increase the risk of forest fires. They warned that the exceptional temperatures posed a very high level of risk for the population. The Spanish sites of Cordoba and Toledo were some of the worst affected. On Monday, temperatures were expected to reach up to 44 Celsius in some areas. The heat wave is expected to spread, prompting concern in France and in the UK. The Napoli-owned striker Eduardo Vegas backed 2 on the height, both opening the scoring and netting a superb winning goal as his strike sent chills into the first Copa America final since 1987 after a controversial red card to Peru's Carlos Zambrano gave the tournament host a big advantage. Referee Jose Argote expelled Zambrano in the first half, leaving Peru to play 70 minutes with 10 players, and despite a brave performance from Ricardo Menchil, eventually prevailed 2-1 in Santiago thanks to a brace from Vegas. Defending champion Novak Djokovic began his Wimbledon title defense with a straight set win over Gremis Phillips. The Serbian top seed won 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 in the opening match on center court and goes on to face Lilton or Jacko in round 2. Djokovic, 28, was playing his first competitive match since losing to Stan Wawrinka in the French Open final. He made 20 on forced errors, but broke serve to win each of the 3 sets. World number 1 Serena Williams overcame a minor blip against debutant Margarita to progress to the second round of Wimbledon with ease. 5-time champion Williams, 33, was broken in the first game of the match, but came through to win 6-4, 6-1. Williams, the reigning Australian and French Open champion, was not at her best, forced to have 6 break points, but ultimately had too much nose. She did good. She should be really proud, said Williams. And that's the news for this hour. Thank you so much for watching. Please join us again. I am Geft or Gete. Good evening.